She's the longest-serving person on Mount Pleasant Town Council. And just recently, Thomasena Stokes-Marshall announced that she will be retiring at the end of the year. I had a chance to talk exclusively with her for a special edition of Quintin Schoolhouse. Let's walk down memory lane to March 10th. The Mount Pleasant Town Council voted 6-3 to increase the salaries of council members as well as the mayor. Beginning December 1st, the town council will actually receive $15,000 a year, while the mayor will earn $42,000 a year. The last time council actually received a salary increase and the mayor was 2006 and 1996 respectively. I'm wondering why now?
I have been one of those council members on previous occasions when this came before council recently that did not support it. Okay, I have changed my position.
Okay.
I've changed my position because I am fully aware of the amount of the workload increasing that requires a council member as well as the mayor to put in a considerable amount of time to be able to review all of the information and statistics of the various projects that comes in front of council, and that's in the capacity as a council member that we need to be responsible to put in that time. And that time has increased because the overall workload for the town's staff, employees, as well as council member and the mayor has increased.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's appropriate. I don't expect that anyone that aspires to be a political figure here in the town of Mount Pleasant feel or believe that you know, they can make a salary here that is going to be able to support their family.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at 15,000 and 25,000,
Yeah.
you know, that's stretching it.
Yeah, very much. Let's continue to walk down memory lane early this year because you said this to the Postal Courier, quote, "I feel it's time for me to pass the torch. I think we need more younger folks. I think we need more women and people who really have the town's best interests at heart." A couple of things stuck up to me. Passing the torch, young people, and women. Tell me as we sit here right now, who's that ideal young woman that you want to really fill your shoes, or who you would like to endorse?
Unfortunately, at this point in time, I have not been able to identify. I have not been able to identify a female that I feel would be prepared to enter into a campaign, have all the necessary information and understanding of what it is to be a leader in the elected capacity here in the town of Mount Pleasant. I have identified a gentleman, however.
Okay.
The gentleman that I have identified is Rodley Millett.
Okay.
I've had the pleasure of working with Rodley on a number of different nonprofit boards over the past 7 or 8 years. He has demonstrated that he's very much involved in the community from a number of different perspectives. It's about providing services to the people.
Sure.
And for me, that has always been my one driving force. And he demonstrates that.
Yeah.
He also, I guess it's been about at least 3 or 4 years ago, expressed an interest in running for town council.
Oh, wow.
And I had advised him that if that was the case, he needed to start doing some research to educate himself and start getting an understanding of the process. And he's also demonstrated that he is engaged, has been for the past 2.5 to 3 years. He attends probably as many meetings as I do. He serves on a number of different boards, nonprofit board of directors, and he's engaged in the community. He knows what's going on. Many of the people in the community know him. Almost everyone here in the senior center know him. My fellow council members know him, as well as the staff for the town of Mount Pleasant. I mean, he goes in and he meets with all of the department managers. So I have seen firsthand him demonstrating his sincere, genuine interest in running for a seat on Mount Pleasant Town Council.
Immediately after your decision to retire, people from Mayor Linda Page to Councilmember Chris O'Neill had nothing but great things to say about you. Mayor Page said this quote, "Thomasena is a gem. She's not just a voice of diversity. She's a voice of level-headedness. I'm going to miss her so much." Chris O'Neill basically said that you're going to be sorely missed. Tell me, as we sit here right now, when you hear those comments, what goes through your mind?
I think what goes through my mind when people say that I'm going to be missed, throughout the years I've gained a reputation for being a person that speaks what I believe in. The bottom line is the reason why I'm here and I do what I do is because it's about helping to do good for people all the time, all people across the board. So I live my life in that manner that, I demonstrate that. And I think the people who have had the opportunity to engage with me in a number of different venues, that they realize that that is the way I am. My integrity is extremely important to me. If I say I'm going to do something, I try my best to do it.
Mayor Page mentioned that you are a voice of diversity. Tell me, what does that mean to you?
Well, it means that I don't put up barriers when it comes to me dealing with people. It doesn't matter to me what your color, your race, your religion, your nationality. If you have a need or problem or issue that I can work with you or your community to try and help resolve, that's what it's about, I believe that everyone has the opportunity and should be treated equally and fairly no matter what the situation. Shoes may be on my feet today and yours tomorrow, And in this world, it's about living together, working together, and loving people and treating people the way you would want to be treated.
You're right about that. Describe to me the following one word: Shem Creek.
Shem Creek is known as one of the jewels here in the town of Mount Pleasant. It has a tremendous history. People come from all over the country, the world, to that particular location. It's connected with the shrimping industry. Again, its history. It is a part of the old village, and I believe that the residents that live in that area have a passion for it, and to a great extent want to help preserve and protect that community, and rightfully so. At the same time, I recognize that one of the things as a council member, you learn that when an individual owns property, there are such things as property rights.
Right.
And if an individual or company wants to develop that property, as long as they are within the zoning code, ordinance guidelines, and all of those things, how do you prevent that individual from doing so? And people tend to resist change, and I understand that. I look at it from the point of view of those individuals who don't want the change. I also look at the facts, information, statistics that are presented to me and the trend around the country, around the world, and I try to make my decision on the big picture as opposed to being from a more narrow point of view.
Coleman Boulevard.
Coleman Boulevard, the plan is for Coleman Boulevard to eventually become the main street in the town of Mount Pleasant. As you know, the Arthur Avenel Bridge feeds right on to Coleman Boulevard, where the Patriots Point, Yorktown, another major attraction, not just here but around the country. And that's part of that tourist industry that would be patronizing that area. So the goal of the town is to work with the various property owners to improve the livability, the amenities, the quality of life as a whole for residents, first of all, as well as those elements, businesses that would be coming into that area. Plans for Coleman Boulevard did not develop overnight. I think it's probably been in existence, or at least in the makings, probably for the past 10 or 12 years. And I know one of the things that our leaders and staff has done was to try and provide every possible opportunity for all stakeholders to be engaged and participate and provide their feedback in terms of the plan as it developed, what they would accept, what they would not accept, what they want to change, what they did not want to change. And I think we've made much progress. Of course, as you go along Coleman Boulevard now, you can actually see some of the changes, and I must admit that many of our residents in that area are opposed to some of those changes, and I can understand that. However, again, when I look at the facts that are presented to me, and my decision-making process is looking at the big picture, and the changes that we're looking to bring about is designed not just for that area, but for the town of Mount Pleasant as a whole.
Yeah. Sweetgrass baskets.
Yes. I must admit that I was very naive about the Sweetgrass baskets until I moved back home in 1993.
Right.
And until I became a council member in 1998, I would go to the market along Highway 17 and admire the beautiful artwork that was being created. And after I got elected, the mayor appointed me to the Tax Accommodations Committee, and as a representing council, and the chair of that committee wanted to know what I thought of having a Sweetgrass Festival in the town of Mount Pleasant. I must admit that I was a bit startled because I had extremely little knowledge about the history of basket makers. However, I knew that it was something that was very well recognized, that it does have a history here, and as opposed to me just saying no, I told him, you know, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Let me reach out to some of the folks in the community that I know that
Yeah.
are involved or are basket
Right.
makers, and see what kind of feedback I got. So I did that, and I guess over a period of 6 months I was able to identify enough people who were interested in working with me to form a nonprofit organization and identify our mission as working to protect and preserve the Gullah Geechee people's culture, their traditions, and their history. And we decided that we would attempt to do that by presenting an annual Sweetgrass Festival that would expose people to the tradition and the culture and the history, and engage them from a point of view where we could also use that venue to educate people and try to garner their support for the art craft,
Right.
you know. And I'm pleased to say that over the course of 10 years, that we have really grown the festival, where we now, as of 2014, attract close to 7,500 people, you know. And it's held, initially we started out at Lang Middle School,
Right.
and once Charleston County School District decided that they were going to close and rebuild, we had to find a new location. And the organization collaborated with the town of Mount Pleasant, the South Carolina Arts Commission, and several other entities, where we were able to build a Sweetgrass Cultural Arts Pavilion in the new waterfront park, as well as relocate the annual festival venue to the new waterfront park. And that has definitely provided much greater exposure to the festival, and which in turn has contributed to us increasing the numbers we attract annually.
That is awesome. You have been a town council member for 17 years, as you mentioned. When you look back at 1998 to right now, what is the biggest difference in your mind?
The increase in the town's population and the changes that the increase has brought about. More specifically, changes on the residential, the increase in the residential and commercial development, and the kind of impact that it has on our overall communities. Because along with that increase, there comes demand to try to maintain the quality of services when it comes to the fire, police, public works, recreation. And I know that the town has done an extremely good job in that sense, in that we have been consistent in maintaining the level and quality of service that we provide to our residents. One of the things that we have recently become aware of is the need for, not just here in the town of Mount Pleasant, but around the country, to address our decaying infrastructure system in terms of our roads, drainage, sewer, you know, the water ways. That leaves much to be desired. It has occurred and has declined over a number of years, and it has not gotten the attention. So now we're in a position around the country where we're all trying to prioritize and address the infrastructure needs in our community. As far as the population affecting the level of service as far as our schools are concerned, we've been fortunate in developing a great relationship with Charleston County School District, and I think probably all but 2 of our schools within the past 10 years are new schools. However, what we have discovered is, because of the No Child Left Behind law, Mount Pleasant having one of the very best academic and scholastic record achievements in the state of South Carolina, the No Child Left Behind law provides parents and guardians to remove their children from a school that is not up to par and then enroll them into other schools that are. And as a result of that, many of the students that attend our schools here in Mount Pleasant do not reside in the town of Mount Pleasant. So therefore, that also increases the number of students in our schools, whereas that population and the need to have adequate facility to address that increase is just not there. And of course, we have just recently I think in the last election, the voters voted on decisions that have been made to address that.